George Cummer. Captain George Cummer, April 1858 to 1937, was considered the most famous American whaling captain of Hudson Bay, and the world's foremost authority on Hudson Bay Inuit in the early 20th century. Cummer was a polar explorer, whaler/sealer, ethnologist, cartographer, author, and photographer. He made 14 Arctic and 3 Antarctic voyages in his lifetime. These expeditions, ca. 1875 to 1919, commonly began in New London, Connecticut or New Bedford, Massachusetts. Cummer's circle of friends and colleagues included other notable explorers of the time, such as Robert Peary and Captain Frederick Cook, and his mentor, Franz Boas, the father of American anthropology. Personal life. Cummer was born in Quebec City, Quebec in 1858. His father was English, and his mother was Irish. The family immigrated to the United States in 1860 and Cummer grew up in East Haddam, Connecticut. He attended school for only 2 years. After Cummer's father was lost at sea, his mother couldn't support the children. Subsequently, Cummer spent time in an orphanage and an East Haddam foster home. In 1877, Cummer, age 19, married Julia Chipman, age 20, born in Pennsylvania, and they made their home on Mount Parnassus Road in East Haddam. They had 2 children, daughter, Nellie G., born April 1878, and son, Thomas L., April 1886 to 1930, a sea ship officer. Arctic Expeditions. Cummer made the first of his Arctic voyages at age 17 on the whaler Nile bound for Cumberland Sound, Baffin Island in 1875. From 1889 to 1891, he made 3 cruises on the schooner Era to southeastern Baffin Island. These were followed by 15 months whaling on the Canton during 1893 to 1894. After 20 years of seafaring, Cummer became captain of his first ship in 1895. From 1895 to 1912, Cummer was the master on 6 whaling cruises to the Hudson Bay, including wintering in Rose Welcome Sound, on the Era, wrecked off Newfoundland in 1906, Eber, 1989, pages 25, and the A.T. Gifford. While wintering in the Hudson Bay, Cummer became acquainted with and concerned for the Evelingmiut, Netsealingmiut, and Carnurmiut. Cummer hired the Caribou Inuit men as whaling hands and they supplied caribou meat for his crew, saving them from developing scurvy. The Inuit women made caribou clothing for Cummer's men, vital for survival through Arctic winters. Cummer photographed the Inuit on many occasions, and for that he was given the Inuktitut name Ongakuk, meaning, the shaman, as the images were not a reality easily understood by the Inuit. Cummer developed a bond with a Navalik woman named Niviachanak, or Nivisanak, referred to amongst Inuit as Shoefly Cummer. She was Cummer's traveling companion on his ships for several years, bringing her son Outlanak, referred to as John L., who was rumored to be Cummer's biological son, with her. Cummer fathered at least one other child while in Hudson Bay with an Inuit woman named Duptak, Laron Pamialik, 1911. Pamialik was adopted by Shoefly and the shaman Angatimarik after the death of his birth mother. In 1906, New York City furrier F.N. Monjo purchased the Era and hired Captain Cummer as its captain, but Cummer wrecked the vessel on the island of Miquelon, off Newfoundland, later that year. Cummer then became captain of Monjo's next purchase, the schooner A.T. Gifford, which he commanded from 1907 until 1912. This whaler operated out of New London, Connecticut, for the 1907 voyage and New Bedford, Massachusetts, for the 1910 voyage, hunting for whales and furs, and wintering at Cape Fullerton. His 1907 Anthony Fiala expedition was chartered to establish supply bases in the Arctic in preparation for a second team who would attempt to reach the North Pole. Cummer retired from whaling in 1912. In 1915, Cummer served as ice master on the George B. Cluett, chartered by the American Museum of Natural History to bring back Donald Macmillan's men from the Crocker Land expedition at Etah, in northern Greenland. En route, the Cluett became ice-trapped for 2 years, giving Cummer opportunity to perform archaeological excavations at Mount Dundas, Umanak or Umanak, a hill near Pituffik, where he unearthed evidence of what is now referred to as the Thule people, ancestors of the Inuit. His find is called Cummer's Midden as it included a kitchen midden. Cummer's last Arctic trip occurred in 1919, in part as a farewell to his Inuit friends. It was a charter by Arctic explorer/ethnologist Christian Leiden to study amongst the Inuit. But the schooner, the Finback, grounded at Cape Fullerton and was lost. An investigation was made into the grounding, and the circumstances were found to be suspect. For Kummer, the benefit of the accident was the time extension he had with his longtime Inuit friends. Antarctic Expeditions. Kummer visited Antarctica on several sealing voyages, including South Georgia, October 9, 1885, February 11, 1886, and Kerguelen Island, November 24, 1887, February 5, 1888. On his third voyage, he was second mate on the American schooner, the Francis Allen that sealed at Gough Island, August 22, 1888, January 23, 1889. Kummer is noted as having written the first account of the island's endemic flightless moorhen, the species Gallinula kummeri, named after him. Kummer wrote of them. Ethnologist and cartographer. Kummer was highly regarded for his Arctic anthropology, ethnology, natural history, geography, and cartography work. Lacking formal training, Kummer was mentored by anthropologist Franz Boas. In return, Kummer provided Boas with information that was used by Boas in his 1888 book, The Central Eskimo. Kummer published papers in 1910 and 1913 in the Bulletin of the American Geographical Society of New York, providing improved maps and charts of Southampton Island. In appreciation for his cartography, the Government of Canada named the narrow strait around the Bend of Rose Welcome Sound that separates northern Southampton Island from White Island Kummer Strait, 65 degrees 45 and 85 degrees 05 W, 65.750 degrees north, 85.083 degrees west, 65.750, minus 85.083, in his honor. Kummer also published Notes in American Anthropologist, 1923, about Southampton Island's isolated saddler Maiat who became extinct in 1902. Subsequent to their extinction, Kummer attempted to repopulate Southampton Island at the exceedingly flat Cape Kendall on the island's western shore, northwest of the Bay of God's Mercy, with Avolic. Shoofly's only child, Adlanach, John L., was the Avolic group leader. However, within a year, the Avolic moved to South Bay, an inner cove on the south side of Southampton Island, and they occasionally crossed to Repulse Bay when weather permitted. In November 1903, Kummer recorded Avelingmiut and Carnurmiut songs on a phonograph while in northwestern Hudson Bay, notable as some of the earliest recorded voices of Inuit. Frozen in the ice at Cape Fullerton during the winters of 1910 to 1912, he made phonograph records of local Inuit, and preserved Adelaide Peninsula's Illuminated folklore and legends. On board the Era, Kummer made plaster casts of their faces. The 300 masks can be found in museums in Germany, Canada, and New York. The Canadian Museum of Civilization bought a large collection of Kummer's artifacts in 1913, including a group of animal ivories, fox, muskox, narwhal, polar bear, wolf, most of which, if not all, were created by Hariapakchuk Tasak, or Tisuk, chief of the Avelingmiut, and Kummer's chief Inuit shipmate while wintering at Cape Fullerton. Commissioned by the American Museum of Natural History, Kummer also collected Arctic and Antarctic animal skins, birds' eggs, and geological specimens now at the museum's Kummer collection. Later years. Kummer retired in East Haddam, but he continued to send presents to his Inuit friends. He remained active, serving in the Connecticut state legislature. He was in ill health in his latter years, and died in East Haddam in 1937 at the age 79. Vessels. Partial bibliography. Awards and honors. Partial bibliography.